What is impeachment anyway? Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into a topic that's been in the headlines, debated on TV, and discussed in classrooms and living rooms across the country: impeachment. Today we're breaking down a word you've probably heard a lot: impeachment. It's a term that pops up whenever there's political drama or controversy, but it's often misunderstood. It sounds serious and official, but what does it really mean? Is it just a fancy word for firing someone, or is there more to it? Is it like being fired or going to jail? Not quite. Impeachment isn't about sending someone to prison or even immediately kicking them out of office. Impeachment is a process, a way for Congress to hold government officials accountable for their actions. It's a tool built into our system of checks and balances. It's about bringing charges against an official, kind of like an indictment in court. Think of it as the government's way of saying, we need to look into this person's actions more closely. It doesn't mean someone is guilty or automatically removed from office. Instead, it's the start of a formal investigation and a series of steps that could lead to removal, but only if there's enough evidence. It's just the first step in a constitutional procedure that's been part of our government since the very beginning. The U.S. Constitution lays out this process because the founders wanted a way to remove officials who abuse their power or commit serious offenses. They believed no one should be above the law, not even the president. Impeachment is reserved for big issues: treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. These are not minor mistakes, but actions that threaten the integrity of our government. That last phrase, high crimes and misdemeanors, isn't clearly defined, which makes things interesting and sometimes controversial. It's been debated by scholars, politicians, and judges for centuries. Our goal today: make impeachment simple and clear. We'll break down the legal jargon and show you how the process really works. We'll cover who can be impeached, the steps in the process, what happens if someone is convicted, and some famous examples from history, like the impeachments of Andrew Johnson, Bill Clinton, and Donald Trump. By the end, you'll be able to explain impeachment to your friends, your family, or anyone who's curious about how our democracy works. Ready to dive in? Let's get started. Whether you're a student, a news junkie, or just someone who wants to understand the headlines, this guide is for you. Impeachment is a powerful tool, but it's not used lightly. It's a rare event in American history, and it always sparks intense debate. It's designed for the most serious situations, when the stakes are high and the future of the country could be at risk. So, why does it matter? Because it's a key part of how our government keeps itself in check, making sure leaders are held responsible for their actions. Stick with us as we unravel the details, answer your questions, and clear up the confusion around impeachment. Let's jump into the roadmap of impeachment and see how this fascinating process really works. Before we get into the details, let's take a step back and look at the big picture of how impeachment works in the United States. Understanding the overall process will help make sense of the steps we'll cover in detail. Impeachment is a journey with several key stops along the way, each with its own purpose and procedures. Think of it as a roadmap that guides us through a complex but crucial part of our democracy. The process begins with an accusation of serious wrongdoing. These are not minor offenses, but grave acts like treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. These terms are intentionally broad, allowing Congress to address a wide range of abuses of power or violations of public trust. The House of Representatives acts much like a grand jury in a criminal case. Their job is to investigate, debate, and decide if there's enough credible evidence to bring formal charges against the official in question. If a majority of House members vote yes, the official is impeached, meaning they are formally accused but not yet removed from office. This is a critical turning point in the process. Next, the process moves to the Senate, which takes on a new role. Here, the Senate acts as both the courtroom and the jury, responsible for conducting a trial to determine guilt or innocence. The Senate trial is a formal proceeding with evidence presented, witnesses called, and arguments made by both sides. Senators must weigh the facts and ultimately vote on whether to convict and remove the official from office. So, who can actually be impeached? The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States. This mainly includes executive branch officials and federal judges, not just the highest office holders. Members of Congress themselves aren't typically impeached. Instead, they have their own separate disciplinary processes, such as expulsion or censure, handled within their respective chambers. It's important to remember that impeachment is a political process with legal-like procedures, not a criminal trial. The standards and consequences are different from those in a court of law. Being impeached doesn't mean someone is going to jail. Criminal charges are a completely separate matter, handled by the courts after or apart from impeachment. The main goal of impeachment is to protect the integrity of government by removing officials who betray their office or the public's trust. It's about accountability and upholding the Constitution. Now that you have the big picture, let's break down each stage, step by step, to see how the process unfolds in real life. First up, how charges are brought and what triggers the start of an impeachment inquiry. How does impeachment start? The process is both historic and dramatic, rooted in the Constitution and designed to hold powerful officials accountable for their actions. It begins with serious concerns about an official's conduct, concerns that suggest a possible violation of public trust or abuse of power. A member of the House might introduce an impeachment resolution, or concerns might come from ongoing investigations, whistleblowers, or even public petitions demanding action. The House of Representatives takes the lead, holding the sole constitutional power to impeach federal officials, including the president. Usually, a committee, often the Judiciary Committee, steps in to investigate. They gather evidence, interview witnesses, and may hold public or closed-door hearings to uncover the facts. If they find legitimate grounds, they draft articles of impeachment, formal written charges that specify the alleged misconduct. Each article outlines a particular alleged offense, such as obstruction of justice, bribery, or abuse of power, and details the evidence supporting each claim. These articles are carefully worded, reviewed, and revised to ensure clarity and accuracy. They form the legal and factual basis of the case against the official. The committee then votes on whether to approve the articles. If approved, the articles are sent to the full House for consideration. The full House debates the charges in a public forum with passionate arguments both for and against impeachment, often drawing national attention. This is a public, often heated part of the process, as lawmakers weigh the evidence and the stakes for the nation. The future of the official hangs in the balance, and the atmosphere is tense as the nation watches closely. If the House agrees by a simple majority, the process moves forward to the next stage. Impeachment is officially approved. Next comes the crucial vote to impeach, a moment that can change the course of history. Let's see how that works, and what happens after the House makes its decision. The articles of impeachment reach the full House for a critical vote. All members decide whether to formally accuse the official. A simple majority is needed, more than half of those present and voting. Each article is voted on separately. Some may pass, others may not. If at least one article passes, the official is impeached, formally accused, but not removed from office. It's like being indicted in a criminal case. Enough evidence to proceed, but not a verdict. The official remains in their job for now. The case now moves to the Senate for trial. The House selects managers, essentially prosecutors, to present the case in the Senate. These managers will argue why the official should be convicted and removed. The stage is set for the Senate trial. Next, let's see what happens when the trial begins. The stakes get even higher. After impeachment, the action shifts to the Senate. The Senate has the sole power to try all impeachments, acting as both court and jury. If the president is on trial, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court presides. For others, it's usually the vice president or president pro tempore. Senators take a special oath to do impartial justice. The House managers present the case, calling witnesses and presenting evidence. The official's defense team can cross-examine and present their own evidence. The Senate sets its own trial rules, which can vary. Sometimes special committees gather evidence for the full Senate. The trial can last days or weeks depending on complexity. Senators listen, review evidence, and may submit written questions. The nation often watches closely, especially for high-profile cases. The goal, a full and fair hearing before the final decision. Next, the Senate's verdict. After arguments and evidence, the Senate votes on each article of impeachment. Each senator votes guilty or not guilty on each charge. Conviction requires a 2/3 majority, at least 67 out of 100 senators if all are present. This high bar ensures removal isn't used lightly or for partisan reasons. If no article gets 2/3, the official is acquitted and stays in office. If convicted on any article, removal from office is immediate and automatic. That's the primary purpose of impeachment, to remove officials guilty of serious misconduct. But what happens next? Let's look at the consequences. After the Senate vote, outcomes depend on conviction or acquittal. If acquitted, the official stays in office, though the process can leave a lasting mark. If convicted, removal is immediate, no appeals within impeachment. The Senate can also vote, by simple majority, to bar the person from future federal office. This has happened, especially with federal judges. Impeachment isn't a criminal proceeding. No jail time results directly from it. However, removed officials can still face criminal charges in regular courts. The president cannot pardon someone in cases of impeachment. Now let's see how this has played out in history. Impeachment has shaped U.S. history with some dramatic moments. Andrew Johnson was the first president impeached in 1868, but was acquitted by one vote. Richard Nixon faced impeachment over Watergate, but resigned before the House could vote. Bill Clinton was impeached in 1998 for perjury and obstruction of justice, but acquitted by the Senate. Donald Trump is the only president impeached twice, first in 2019 for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress, acquitted, and again in 2021 for incitement of insurrection, acquitted after leaving office. These cases show impeachment is rare, controversial, and deeply political. Most impeachments have involved federal judges, not presidents. The process is a powerful check, but conviction and removal are uncommon. Each case has left a mark on American politics and public debate. Impeachment remains a vital, if contentious, part of our system. It's a reminder that no one is above the law. Now let's wrap up what we've learned. Here's why impeachment matters. That's impeachment in the United States, explained. It's a serious, complex process designed to hold top officials accountable. Impeachment starts in the House, moves to a Senate trial, and can end in removal and disqualification. It's a crucial check on power, showing that no one is above the law. Understanding impeachment helps us all be more informed citizens. If you're curious, read the Constitution. Articles 1 and 2 cover impeachment. Explore historical cases and scholarly articles to learn more. The more you know, the better you can participate in democracy. Knowledge is power, and in a democracy, that power rests with the people. If you found this helpful, share it with others. Thanks for joining us today. Stay curious, stay informed. See you next time.